Well, hey, everybody, it is Gary Hart, Executive Director of the Independent Glass Association and your host of Shatterproof, the AutoGlass podcast. Welcome to 2026. And of course, 2026 is ushered in with just a litany of legislative initiatives that we warned everybody about last year. And just up front, you're never going to see this in the AutoGlass media. So this is why we bring this to you. Despite the fact that we do provide our press releases and what we're doing to the press in our industry, they do not cover it. And that's on them. That's all I'm going to say about it. But you should definitely subscribe. Make sure you like and subscribe our page and also sign up for our newsletter so you can get all of the information on the activities that the Independent Glass Association is doing for you and the auto glass industry with regards to legislation, things regarding Safelight, the Department of Justice, Federal Trade Commission, our training, our education, everything that we have to offer that we are doing that is real, and shops every day are getting the benefit of it. I invite you in. We're not asking for anything. We're just asking for your participation. So with that, let's start talking about Washington Senate Bill 5871 that, oh man, this came from really not out of anywhere. Remember, last year, the IGA came out against this legislative template that Safelight helped craft with their sister association or association that they helped co-create and found back in the day, the National Crime Insurance Bureau, NCIB. Well, they went to this national coalition of insurance legislators to develop this glass template. And it was very one-sided, it is very one-sided. And we did make it known. The IGA drafted our rebuttal against it. We made our recommendations. We came out against the template itself, saying it was biased and unfair. And sure enough, we started to see that used last year, most notably in Iowa and New York. And it was already softly used in Florida. And it's now making its way into other states. And we knew this was going to happen. But we stand on our rebuttal. We stand on the changes that we want to see in it. So our first stop is Washington. We'll discuss South Carolina in an entirely different podcast because that is a bill that was introduced that the Independent Glass Association, along with shops in the state of South Carolina, helped write. You won't read that in our industry news, but you'll hear it here and you'll see it on our site. So that's separate. So with Washington Senate bill, we had the opportunity to testify. There was also 2 member shops up in the state of Washington that also attended in person. So with regards to that, I'm going to only play and critique the Safelight side and then show you our testimony so you can see exactly what we're getting at and what we're up against. Now, as you may have seen or starting to hear, this is happening in other states. The IGA is in those other states where we didn't introduce the legislation. We are deeply involved in getting those legislators educated, not only the House and Senate, but we're also making sure that insurance representatives for the state are also educated so they can get a fair assessment of what's going on, not just believing one side. So this first person you're going to hear that testified up front in this committee meeting hearing, obviously is voting for it. You're going to hear right up front why. But what's interesting, if you go and look at the roll call for that day, if you wanted to testify, whether it was in person or remote, you had to go to this Washington State webpage and you fill out the form, what you're going to do, et cetera, who you are and who you represent. Well, this individual that's about to come up did not fill in who they represented. But if you know names and you're in the know, the IGA knew who this person was, but to the general public, they did not know who they were until this happened. So let's dive right in. I'm going to critique it. I want to get you on the way so that
Tom,
we don't have to worry about it.
Tucker on coming to us remotely. So Tom, make sure your camera's turned on and go ahead and begin.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Can you see me?
And maybe
we cannot.
All right. Hold on one very
like Zoom was just
quick
invented
moment.
yesterday, by the way.
All right. Here we go. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Tucker. I am the Vice President of Legislative Affairs for Safelight AutoGlass. And on behalf of the company, I want to express our strong support for Senate Bill 5871, which establishes critical standards for auto glass repair and the recalibration of the advanced driver assist systems.
So right up front, they're for it. He's with Safelight AutoGlass. Now, we're in the industry. We know Safelight AutoGlass is not Safelight Solutions. It is also not the Safelight Group. That is the umbrella for Safelight AutoGlass, Safelight Solutions. So he's representing this. Just, I want you to pay attention to this, but he's representing this from the standpoint of the Safelight AutoGlass, and he's tearing right into the safety aspect of it. So pay attention to how he's selling this.
ADAS. This legislation is a significant step forward in consumer protection and roadway safety. It also addresses auto glass fraud, which I will address in a moment.
So safety, we lead with safety, but we talk about fraud, and that is what it's not going to be. It is the basis of how they're going around the country using this fraud as this lead-in. And the reality is most states already have laws on the books with regards to insurance fraud. You don't need to specifically say auto glass or name it. The bottom line is the fraud that he's going to start alleging, and he says he makes up some extraordinary numbers that if you're in the industry and you're in the know about Florida, Florida was the unicorn in our industry, not because of the auto glass law, but because of the litigation laws that were in that state. So this had nothing to do with fraud. And the thing that we're going to point out and challenge in just our education and communication is there are not and were not shops left and right being convicted of fraud with regards to automotive glass claims. And he doesn't really delineate or designate it. He just makes these giant numbers up. And then he talks about some quote unquote success rates, but let's just let him talk about it.
Rising auto glass litigation provides consumer protection measures and notification on vehicle technology within the vehicle.
So right there, I'm just going to stop because they don't even know about what's in the vehicle. And many of you are out there probably just screaming right now, just to get a claim authorized sometimes takes weeks, especially when it comes to the calibration and the use of OE. They don't know. And the thing is, they're pretending to know and they're pretending to be experts in this.
Let me walk the committee through some key provisions, benefits of the bill, and then answer any questions that you have at the end. As already stated, one of the key provisions is the ban on the assignment of benefit.
So remember, he started this up front saying ADAS and safety, but we're going to jump right into the assignment of benefits. This is the way they want to go and take the power away from us as consumers or the insured. We pay for insurance policies. We can't be experts at everything we do, so we rely on the party that's working with us to take our benefit and make sure that we're being wholly reimbursed and getting that benefit of our property or our car or glass being put back in place. So here we go. We're going to lead right in with really what they want to talk about.
This prohibits the consumer from transferring their policy rights to a repair shop. AOB is a major contributor in auto glass fraud.
Okay, so right away, major contributor in auto glass fraud. Yet, if we look at all 50 states, there's no the way he's making this sound is that there's daily massive fraud going on. I know some of you are out there going, we know where fraud may be happening, but it's not on the auto glass shop side with independent auto glass companies. So here we are. We're already painting this picture that, hey, dear legislators, people that are just here, there's fraud everywhere. And you got to trust me. I'm an expert. I'm Safelight. I'm Safelight AutoGlass. You see our ads on TV. So what we're saying must be true. Continue, Tom, please.
This is how it works. A glass shop will approach a consumer in a parking lot or some innocuous place,
back alley, disco, ball game,
seeing that they need repair of their windshield. They will offer them an inducement or some sort of benefit to allow them to repair the glass. Now, this is a glass shop. They will do the work, but they're offering a gift card, $100, $200, a steak dinner at a local restaurant. You actually are signing papers, assigning over your benefits to allow the glass shop to negotiate on the pricing and payment with the insurance company behind your.
Okay, so there's nothing illegal about this, but by law, there isn't. And in the inducement we're talking about, we go back, hundreds of years in doing business. You're going to take your best customer out for a steak dinner. You're going to take them to a ball game. Now, I can say as a whole, with high confidence here, and I know Tom's probably going to watch this, his legal team, others that are all on this end coil side and everything are going to be watching this, wanting to tear it apart. But the onus is on them to prove this wide-scale national fraud of what he's describing, of you having employees just in random states just out there roaming the Vons, Publix, Safeway, Costco, Walmart, you name it, parking lot, just saying, hey, I could do this and you're up to $150 or $200. We know that's not the way it works. Yet he's making it sound this way. And they can make it sound this way because they have the NICB behind them to say, hey, we're an insurance crime bureau. We know what's going on. We know the statistics. The reality is it's all made up. It's fabricated. In my humble opinion, they do not have the evidence to support it. Plus, we're in the industry. You watching this as an independent auto glass shop, you are probably sitting there going, I don't do that. And that's because it doesn't happen at the scale. We're talking, this might be so fringe or out there that it does not affect the policy with regards to insurance loss at all. And the negotiating of prices, we don't get to negotiate it. As we all know, the only state that you really truly had that capability was in Florida, only because of the litigation practices, not because of the AOB. That was all garbage. That once DeSantis signed that law about getting rid of that litigation part of it, that's what made the lawsuits go away, not the AOB provision. And even then, it is almost impossible for a shop that does have the AOB in other states to go after a $300 or $400 short pay, because it'll cost them $4,000 to $5,000 just to get an attorney on retainer. So it's absolute. This is all just it's make believe, and it's almost sickening to hear. But let's continue. This is Tom's deal, so we'll let him talk.
Oftentimes, these bad actors will inflate the cost of the invoice 2 to 3 times, and the insurance company will end up rejecting it, and they go back.
Okay, so it's not the insurance company rejecting it. So Tom's leaving out some things about his counterpart, his sister organization, Safelight Solutions. It's not Geico or USAA directly refusing it, or Allstate, or I'm not picking on any insurance company. Although any insurance company that does work with Safelight is ingrained in our argument. They are a co-conspirator to all of this. So with this being said, it's not the insurance company, it is Safelight Solutions rejecting this. And I want anyone who's not in the industry, that's a legislator watching this, to know it is not the insurance company rejecting it.
And you end up in court because the glass shop ends up suing. This ends up in one state, there were more than 60,000 auto glass litigation claims in a year.
Okay, so again, we are talking about Florida, and you can Google Florida auto glass claims. I know that media outlet I was talking about before, AGR Magazine, covered this. You can Google and see. They brought some statistics up. Even the IGA has posted some things with regards to the cases that were down there. It was a handful of glass shops that litigated. It was not every independent glass shop in Florida. And the number of claims that were being brought up in the various county courts down in Florida it took years to build. Like, if you were lucky, 15, 20,000 claims, maybe at any given moment, were on the docket. But when these actually went to court, because the insurance company would turn around and then sue the glass shop, it took long periods of time. We're talking 2 or 3 years, and it never ended up being the glass shop not getting paid. It always ended up being a settlement, and it was a settlement that was sealed. And why was it sealed? More than likely, in my humble opinion, it's because there was a payoff on behalf of the insurance company to the glass shop. So if they truly believe that the prices were inflated, they believe that they could prove this in a court, they didn't. They chose to settle. But these bad actors, as he's putting it, with 60,000 claims and all of this, again, we're only talking Florida here.
We did this bill in that state, and immediately 1 year after we passed this bill, AutoGlass litigation dropped from 60,000 to 11,000 in 1 year.
Okay. But still, why is there still 11,000 being litigated? So he doesn't talk about that. And he doesn't go into any of that at all.
2025, this past year, in that same state, less than 6,000 AutoGlass litigation claims, and the insurance market stabilized.
Okay. The insurance market stabilized because of network rates, which Safelight Solutions controls, along with the insurance companies. So that's in-network rates. That's not fair and reasonable. That's not based off of a market rate. So hopefully, if you're a state watching this, your insurance commission group will get together and they'll crunch numbers, because you have good guys in there that know math, and you'll actually start to see, where is this destabilization of insurance policies and premiums due to auto glass severity rates? What he's also failing to say, as he brought up here in the beginning, is ADAS has been a leading contributor to the expanded costs within auto glass replacement due to that additional fee that's on there, and sometimes the necessity of OEM glass being required. And again, you're going to hear him talk about OEM requirements and following OEM rules, which are going to dovetail back to all of the exact same things we've been talking in the industry with getting approval on OE for calibration, not doing aftermarket, seeing it fail, paying out of our pocket. But this is what we're talking about here, the disinformation.
So to the question for the distinguished member of the Senate who asked, how does it work? That's how the fraud works. And that's why in this bill, a key provision is banning the assignment of benefit.
And I want to be clear, the IGA is against that. We are for some changes with that, what's called a revocable assignment of benefits, which means you as the owner can still give it to me as the glass shop, but the insurance company has 30 days to provide written notice to revoke that from the policyholder and the glass shop. So they have to put it in writing, so that if they truly believe a glass shop is committing fraud or the insurer is committing fraud, they have 30 days to remove that. So that is what we are for. Just want everybody to be clear on this.
The provision is transparency. Shops must provide good faith estimates and itemized invoices.
Okay, so this is now going to include Safelight Solutions, Safelight AutoGlass, but will it? And if you're a current Safelight tech, or you are someone who's received service from Safelight, you know you don't get that. You do.
When we talk about the incentives, the gift carding that often happens, this bill prohibits the solicitation of insurance claims. That's what the incentives are. You're incentivizing a consumer to file an insurance claim to allow that shop to do the glass work, whether it's cash, a gift card, or anything of value for filing a claim.
So what they're saying is, and again, it's broad, and this will be challenged if this gets through. And in other states where it's passed, we would urge litigation against this, because it's too broad to say you can't advertise. If you get a windshield replacement for us, we'll give you a fair free set of wipers. We didn't say only with insurance. We just say we're going to give it to you. This would be considered inducement under this bill. So even a free vacuum, or what he's saying is anything of value, which time could be value, is going to be considered illegal under this. And it would be considered an inducement to get a job. And all day long, every brand around us, to whatever garbage the Kardashians are selling, to whatever car companies are selling, are all inducements to get us to buy or use their products. Is that illegal? I think not.
That's actually also a form of steering, which is a prohibited practice. This bill closes that loophole so that that's no longer a factor.
Okay, so their argument is for shops that can offer a giveaway, and if the shop can find it, because there are legitimately some if you think about this, you buy a set of wipers for $20, and those wipers are $50 retail, and you choose, as part of your safety and efficacy and your brand promotion, to give away those wipers. That's on you. Now, if you're a company like Safelight AutoGlass, first of all, you should be able to buy wipers in bulk, so you're buying those like $5, let's say. But giving away $5 worth of wipers and you span that and you've got this huge overhead, they may not be able to afford it. So they're going to say AutoGlass shops have their form of steering with this. Bravo. It's so off the mark. We'll get to your steering later, but continue, Tom.
Advanced driver assist systems. Most of you know what that is, but ADAS is nothing more than the vehicle technology in your vehicle. Lane assist, park assist, brake assist. It's the new technology that is in every modern vehicle. Shops must inform consumers if you have ADAS in your vehicles. There are also some shops that do not provide calibration or recalibration services. So the shop has to inform the consumer if you intend to perform the recalibration. Do you have the capability of performing it? Is your capability up to OEM standards and specifications? If you do not, if you perform the recalibration and the recalibration is not successful, you cannot charge the consumer for that recalibration.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here because it's just a lot of bullet points flying. But the biggest thing I want to point out here is if you are a current network store, meaning you've signed a network participation agreement with Safelight Solutions, by you sending an email or raising your hand or some way of making it known on social media, are you required to provide Safelight Solutions the type of calibration system you're using, or who's certified to use it, or is it OEM certified? They have nothing like that. Right now what they do is you call in the claim, it has to be calibrated. XYZ insurance company is going to pay $275 for that to be static. You have authorization to do that. You do it, you upload some files, you get paid. So in that process, how do they even know? What systems are OE? And all of a sudden, it's this whole thing. He's making it sound like they already do. And the reality is they don't. Do we think legitimately their new Bosch mobile DJ hang the screen over the hood of the car calibration system? How much OEM certification's behind that? Is it because Bosch says it is? It's because Safelight says it is? So this is a real gray area. And again, obfuscation. It's all, hey, look, all these grand things, big things. And we're Safelight. You see our commercials. Again, I keep going back to that. And then this last part, if it fails and you don't do it. So the mechanism is there are things in the vehicle that if you have a service for calibrating a car, there's nothing saying that if you do this and it says, hey, this fails because of this, you have the obligation and the right to charge the consumer for it. So if they come in and you scan the vehicle and the vehicle has issues with, let's say, ABS, or the camera's burnt out, or there's something else that is not related to the AutoGlass, that is not a failed scan on behalf of the AutoGlass side of it. You have every right to charge for that. And he's sitting here saying, oh no, with AutoGlass. Now collision repair and mechanical, we're not talking about that. We allow that. But here we want to punish AutoGlass people. Okay, well, just keep watching.
And if the recalibration is not successful, the shop must then provide a written notice to the consumer not to rely on their safety systems and to take their vehicle to a dealership or certified repair specialist who's capable of performing the recalibration. Another key provision is consumer choice. And another factor of preventing steering. As already mentioned, a consumer can choose any shop of their choosing, but repairs cannot begin until a claim is filed.
Okay. Well, I'll stop there because again, this is something we've already provided the Department of Justice with of the steering practices, and notably, like on the apps, our partner Safelight Solutions or Safelight AutoGlass, and then there's a very little tiny thing, and if you don't scroll all the way down, you don't see your choice for the shop. The fact that they send emails out after the customer's chosen an AutoGlass shop that's not Safelight, that all of a sudden that calibration email goes out, and it's another scare tack, another way to move it. These are the things that this bill should be addressing that they're not looking to do. They're looking to talk about other things and just make those things go away. This is where we also object to this bill, and we want amendments that require that once a shop's been chosen, There should be no communication from this TPA with regards to anything about the vehicle, the schedule, or anything. That is off limits, and it should not be. That is a true conflict of interest, especially since we've already documented that the emails do not come from SafelightSolutions.com. They come from Safelight.com, which is Safelight AutoGlass. That's, you get anything from them, it's Safelight AutoGlass. So again, sneaky. Don't look at us, look at the rest of the industry. Sign our bill into law.
A claim number is provided for insurance claims only. That has been a key sticking point with some shops. They just want to begin the work. But we believe in transparency. If you don't have a claim number and you begin the work on an insurance claim, you're setting yourself up for a problem at the end of the repair of who's paying. Transparency.
Well, if there's a policy in place, it's not setting up anybody for anything. It's just preventing you, Safelight, from being able to get the job. But if there's a policy holder and their policy says they have glass coverage, there's no reason to get involved with a claim number up front. If a shop chooses to do that, it's a pretty clear responsibility who's going to have to pay for that in the end. It's one of two parties, the insurance company or the insured. Now, I have not heard of widespread insured having to pay out of pocket in these cases. And even if they do, the insured could still turn around, take that invoice, and get paid back by the insurance company. So I'm not sure how many insurance policies Tom's read here or who in the legal department's feeding him this. But again, these are all just, we want to prevent shops from getting a leg up and not giving us the opportunity to get those jobs. That's what this is sounding like to me.
In this particular provision allows the customer, the shop, and the insurer to all be in agreement on what's being done, who's paying.
And it's not the insurance company. It is Safelight Solutions and Safelight AutoGlass. But want to keep pointing this out. I know everybody in the auto glass industry knows this, but for those that are out there that are not in here, and you're referring to the auto glass war going on, this is what we're talking about.
And who's responsible so there are no issues. Now, I will say, cash customers, if you're going to get a glass repair and you're paying cash, you do not need a claim number. This protects consumers by preventing any deceptive practices and ensuring accountability and transparency throughout the repair process.
So it's okay if you pay cash and there is no transparency or accountability. But when it comes to the insurance, we want to make sure there's all of that. Pick or choose. This is just, it's comical, but it's so sad and it's frustrating that this is the lengths that a giant multinational company will go to. And of course they will. And they're relying on the fact that small independent shops don't have the capability to do anything about it, that their voice is not loud. I really hope our voice is loud and that we're speaking the truth, we're speaking honestly. And this is what transparency is like, talking about it, stating the facts.
Another practice is prohibits fee controls and steering, prevents shops from charging inflated or non-customary charges.
Okay, so what's non-customary? Who determines that? And what's nice is there was somebody from the OIC in this hearing, and we'll publish the full hearing so you can listen to it and the link to go to. But what's interesting is they said we need to tighten that up. We need to define what that is. And this bill, the end coil, they threw it out there just to be like, hey, if it passes, it's a win for the insurance companies, not a win for the consumers, and definitely not a win for independent glass shops.
And often when a gift card is given, a $500 gift card, a $300 gift card.
And notice the numbers, we started low, but now we're 300 or 500. Who out there is giving $500 gift cards? Even in certain markets, like the area I live in, Arizona, which is notorious to an extent with, you'll see cardboard sign from these hacks that do that. And again, this is not legitimate auto glass businesses. These are just like one-offs. We're talking less than 1%, 0.1% probably of anything that goes through are these guys that are out there slamming glass, doing it real cheap. And they end up eating a lot of these gift cards. Plus, they're relying on the fact that the gift card does not get used before the expiration date, which again, you know, it's buyer beware. And if you're really hard up as a consumer to get a steak dinner or something, that's on you. Protecting everybody, when did that become a thing?
They end up putting that cost back on the customer on the back end with inflated cost, you know, to cover the cost of that inducement. Again, transparency in pricing is good for the consumer. It's good consumer protection. The consumer should always know what the costs are, who's paying, and what they're expected to pay. There's also documentation with the itemized invoice and recalibration details. There are penalties that will be initiated at the end. But AutoGlass.
Okay, so there's penalties initiated at the end of what? Documenting? I mean, right now, give a work order, has the line items on it. You have your calibration report. It's pass or fail. All the documentation's there. Where's the penalties coming from? Because we don't do it? Is that what you're saying? Again, very unclear. Be nice to, like getting the camera working, maybe being articulate about this. I'm not taking shots. It's so confusing, and it's frustrating to have to hear this double speak when we know what's going on.
Fraud is unfortunately a growing trend across the country.
It's not a growing
and this
trend.
bill would help
Show us the numbers.
curb those fraudulent activities and ensure transparency and fairness in the AutoGlass repair process. This legislation as presented is just a framework to protect consumers.
Okay, so he does say it's a framework. Now, they agree with it and they want it to pass, but they just say it's a framework.
By preventing these deceptive practices and ensuring accountability throughout the process.
So one of the things that they also don't talk about in this, where he's saying it's a protection for consumers, but there's no protection for the process. There's no protection for AutoGlass shops that are part of this. They're asking for all these new things to be put in place, and they're expecting AutoGlass shops to bear that price. And one of the things that I point out is the fact that through arrangements through the Safelight Solutions and the insurance companies, allegedly these agreements provide Safelight AutoGlass, or the Safelight organization, the ability to do things and charge for things, again, allegedly, that AutoGlass shops are not allowed. And if they would be truthful and transparent about that, I would think this AOB thing is going to mean more to them than anybody else, because it seems like they're allowed to be in the shoes of the insured without the insured knowing, and they have some way of going back and forth. I'll leave it at that. Let Tom finish.
Addressing fraud and promoting transparency is a win-win, especially in a time where we're seeing growing issues with the affordability of auto insurance. This is model legislation enacted by NCOIL and other states from Florida, Kentucky, Iowa, Maryland, and New York have adopted this same bill. And what's interesting, when the bill has passed through the legislatures this past year in 2025, they've passed with zero opposition, bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate, and have been signed into law. Again, Safelight supports this legislation. We thank you.
Okay, wait. Safelight AutoGlass, Safelight Group, or Safelight Solutions, or just Safelight in general?
Time and attention to this, and I am more than happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
All right, so there you have it. It's unpacked. That's everything that he had to say. Fortunately, the way this format went, it allowed 2 AutoGlass shops to go after this, and they were one was in person, one was remote, and it allowed me to come back around and really get this in a presentation manner that hopefully the committee, and it's part of testimony now, wraps this up and really states our position. But the work's not done. Let's go ahead and just hear my part. I might jump in with my own commentary. I might not like it after the fact, but let's see what I have to say.
Next up is Gary Hart. Gary, go.
If we could have
Good morning,
a
Chair Collins.
timer, we need to have a.
Oh, and I would also like to point out, so all of a sudden now there's a timer for me, by the way. He got almost, he got 6 minutes. I'm being given 3 minutes. So it's like a 3, 2, 1 go. But again, give the really, I call them the sponsor of the bill. Senator Cortez didn't just say, we have an AutoGlass problem. It was brought to him more than likely through either NCOIL, NICB, NAMIC, Safelight, which doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Safelight's involved with all of them. It was brought to his attention. So I'm going to be given 3 minutes. Okay.
We're running out of time. If we could have a timer.
And Gary, if you can keep your comments to 3 minutes, because we're running out of time here. So.
Yes, sir. Not a problem. Good morning, Chair Kaufman, Vice Chair Cortez, and members of the committee, and those from the OIC that are present. My name is Gary Hart. I'm Executive Director of the Independent Glass Association, representing independent auto glass shops across Washington State and throughout North America. We support the safety and transparency goals of SB 5871, but only if amended. As introduced, the bill places new obligations and liability on repair facilities while leaving the primary sources of consumer harm, insurance steering, conflicts of interest, and insurer-controlled reimbursement largely unaddressed. With regards to the assignment of benefits concerns, the IGA is not aware of any evidence or systematic widespread fraud by independent auto glass shops in Washington. When bad actors exist, the current law already provides enforcement tools to address them, as Mr. Grimm pointed out. So what I'm referring to here is Tom Grimm. He is the owner of an auto glass shop up in Washington State. And he addressed already that a law that him and other colleagues back in 2007 introduced and got passed into law already address any fraudulent activity. So it's already part of Washington law, as it is other states, with regards to this, ability to punish for fraud and identify fraud and making fraud just in general illegal when it comes to insurance practices. So there are mechanisms in place, and we certainly wanted to wrap that up and reinforce that, but also pointing out again that while consumer harm is certainly a concern of all of ours, one of the things though is adding those costs and those things for shops that have to do without any type of reciprocal and equal benefit is not going to be tolerated. And this is where we all have to put our foot down. What we do see, however, is the repeated use of fraud allegations by third-party administrators as policy justification to centralize control of claims. Entities such as Safelight Solutions operate under arrangements with insurers that often allow them to resolve claims, set pricing, and route work without using assignment of benefits or post-loss authorization. Bingo right there. So that's the thing that we want all of these legislators to pay attention to. There's a set of rules and operating structure for them, and then the rest of the industry has to go along with these draconian laws that just really stifle competition. They are price collusion, price fixing, and everything else we've already complained in our cases with the DOJ and the FTC and with certain states at this point. Protections that independent shops rely on to ensure transparency and accountability. Restricting those same tools for independent repairers does not prevent fraud. It creates an uneven playing field, advantages vertically integrated networks, and reduces consumer choice. The IGA's proposed amendments correct this imbalance. They preserve real consumer choice by allowing narrow, revocable post-loss. Saying this fast with that timer in your face, choked a little bit there, needed a little bit more water and air, but revocable is the word. Say that fast 3 times. Anyway, that is a big part of it. We're willing to compromise with a revocable AOB if that's the case, but straight out AOB ban is not something we're willing to work with. Licensed shops can communicate with insurers and resolve claims. Finally, the amendments ensure ADAS safety requirements are matched with payment responsibility and create balanced enforcement so insurers and TPAs are accountable, not just the repairer. Yeah, so we're talking about those scenarios where you can't get authorization, even though the policy is. And they're saying that, hey, ADAS is a safety feature, all these things need to happen. Well, the insurance companies are going to have to pay because that's part of the process. And if the requirement by the OE is OEM, then you have to pay for OEM. You don't make a shop, put an aftermarket part in, have it fail, go through all of that, and not reimburse the shop for their time and their labor. And sometimes they can't even return the products. Are you going to return used urethane? I don't think so. Our amendments further make anti-steering protections enforceable at first notice of loss and require the disclosure of financial affiliations. That is critical when the largest third-party administrator in the space and in the state of Washington is Safelight Solutions, who represents the insurers, owns competing glass services, Safelite AutoGlass, and influences the claims handling and legislation. That structure presents a clear conflict of interest and is not consumer-focused. Independent glass shops are local employers, safety-driven professionals, and essential community businesses. SB 5871 can work, but only if these amendments are adopted. We look forward to working with the state of Washington. And I thank you again for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions now or in the future. I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate your testimony.
All right, so there we have it. I will wrap this up in a different podcast. We're going to break some of these things down. The link to the video on just this AutoGlass portion will be made available, if not with this video, but shortly thereafter. It will be on the IGA.org/Washington page or site. On there, you'll find all of the background, the documents, everything that has to go along with this. As we update, we'll update links. That's where you'll find things. Like I said at the beginning of this, please stay engaged with the IGA. Like, follow our stuff, get us your email address, join as a member. At the very least, join the advocacy. We're not asking you for anything. What we are asking you for is your assistance, providing us the evidence, the stories. We have a lot of it. We've been collecting it. We've been providing it to the DOJ, to the FTC. In these state legislative processes, we will be providing it to those that need to see it so they clearly understand what is going on. You'll see in this video during the testimony, someone at the end who was part of the end coil drafting made reference to, I don't know what kind of AutoGlass war is going on, but it is a war and it is an issue, and war just doesn't come up out of nowhere. And it's because there is this 800-pound gorilla, and we all know that it's been going on. For all of those that are out there that have supported the IGA, support what we're doing, support our right to fair treatment, our right to run businesses as we see fit within the bounds of the law, which we do, to be reimbursed for the services and the tools and the education. Those are all things that are inherent rights as Americans to run businesses. This is the American dream. And I want to leave it with one more thing that's coming up. There's a lot of negative posts that occur on social media regarding, well, this group hasn't done anything, and this person keeps saying this. And the thing is, we need everybody's help. The past is the past. I can't speak for my predecessors. I can't tell you what they did. They gave us some graphics. They did some things. They did some bad lawsuits. But we're in this right now. We have a lot at stake for this industry. And if there's any time you wanted to choose to get involved, maybe one last time to maybe prove us wrong that we're not going to do something, please do it now. Get involved. But if you have something bad to say, don't even bother posting it. Honestly, we're just going to start ignoring it. Some of you just have, you're just 15 years into it. You might have joined as a member of some association 15 years ago, gave a couple $100, and then did nothing, just expected an organization. I can tell you this, and I hope you can see by these videos and the work that we're putting in here and the things that I'm doing, I care about this. And I really hope that you come along for this ride, that we make this industry at what it should be, and we don't let these bullies and these tyrants push us around. So with that, thank you very much for watching this video. We'll end it with a quick sponsor commercial because we do need to pay our bills. This isn't free. Everything that you see here, our time isn't free. Just the work we put in on drafts and communications, it's hundreds upon hundreds of hours. And we're a not-for-profit organization. Membership fees don't pay all the bills. So this is why you have to watch a commercial. Thank you very much. Have a great night, great week, great evening. Be successful. Stand up for what's true.
We founded Supreme AutoGlass in 2020. We're a 2-person team. We're together 25 hours out of the day. Since we founded Supreme AutoGlass, we've always used Seeker products. So we put our trust in them and our clients trust us. Being able to use a product that's primerless to glass, we save a lot of time and money not having to activate the frit, letting us install more windshields in a day for more profit for our small business. The gunability that PTG Premium has is far superior. It has a short cutoff string, and the decking is also a lot firmer, so you don't have to worry in the summer when we set the glass that it's gonna ooze out of the sides. Choosing a premium adhesive is the insurance that we have to make sure the customer is safe and the bond is unbreakable.